Hello, everybody. Today we'll have a wonderful Bytes and Brew session with our new leadership team from different digital tracks. Here we have wonderful speakers for today. We have Lindsey Robertson, Terzi, Aamna, Najmi, Chethana, Gopinath, and Claudia, Maciel. And we have the speakers, Lindsey, Aamna, Chethana, and Maria right over here. Meanwhile, we get an introduction about the speakers. I would like to give a quick introduction about today's topic. Today's Bytes and Brew session is about imposter syndrome. There are different types of behavioral health phenomena prevalent in the society. Especially, companies and organizations are spending a lot to take care of the employees' mental health and behavior. Imposter syndrome, one among them, an important behavioral health phenomena, is commonly reported in high-functioning and high-achieving individuals, particularly in women in their higher education and professional industries. This internal experience of intellectual phoniness is what is being discussed today. So, let's welcome all of our speakers today, and I'll just quickly pin our speakers for the day. Okay. Dear speakers, I'll just quickly stop sharing, and I would like to get your introduction. We'll start with our wonderful leadership fellow, Lindsey Robertson.
Hi, everyone. Is everyone hearing me okay? Can you hear me okay, Karthika? Oh, great. Excellent. Thank you so much. I am the leadership fellow for the data science track at WWCode, and I am also a director of operations and data strategy for mergers and acquisitions boutique firm named iCadre. And I'm so happy to be here. I've spent a majority of my career actually in business operations and management, and I came from the construction industry. I spent about 7 years in construction, and so I definitely know how we can sometimes compare ourselves and feel inadequate in scenarios where you are the minority. So I'm super happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay. Next, I would like to get the introduction about Maria Terzi.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Terzi. I'm the leadership fellow for the Mergers Tech track. And I'm also the co-founder and CEO of Malloc. Malloc is a startup focused on privacy and data security for mobile devices. For my background, I have a computer science background. I hold a PhD in machine learning. During my PhD, I had the chance to work at Google as a software engineer intern. And then returning back to my country in Cyprus, I have worked as a researcher and then an academic before stepping into the startup world. Similar to Lindsey, I do think I have also a lot to share about the imposter syndrome. There were too many cases. I felt that I was there just because I'm lucky, and everyone else in the room was actually smarter and more intelligent than me. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful to be here. So, can I have an introduction of Aamna, Najmi?
Yep. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me all right? Awesome. Yes. Awesome. So really nice to meet all of you wonderful women. Yeah, I'm Aamna Najmi. I'm originally from India, located in Germany. Been working at Amazon Web Services as a data scientist and a cloud architect. I also have a background in computer science and machine learning. So I did my master's at Technical University Munich, and I've been involved in a lot of initiatives that are around, women. And I really, feel happy to kind of connect with people who face the same struggles that I do on a day-to-day basis, and it just makes my life easier. So I'm really looking forward to sharing my stories and also listening and learning from all of you. So looking forward.
Looking forward to your thoughts as well. Thank you, Aamna. And Chethana, over to you.
Hi, I'm Chethana, and I'm a software engineer at Realtor.com and a senior lead at Women Who Code Python. Being here is super, super important to me because having been in a room multiple times where I felt like, oh, I don't know much of what's happening around here, and I don't think I can contribute enough. It's like a very dear topic to me. So I'm really glad to be here and to be chatting with you all. Thank you for having me.
Super. I'm super excited to hear from you all and learn together as well. So, to have a small intro about me, I was in tech industry for 10 years. I was working for multiple industry verticals like telecommunication, AI startup, automotive, and also research laboratory, a digital signal processor-based research laboratory. So it was exciting for me during the start of my career, and when I moved slowly, there was like a lot of traction and like resistance for me to move up. It was noticed. It is not particularly to me as well as a woman. It's prevalent to both the genders. So irrespective of gender, irrespective of how talented you are, how bright you are, and how qualified you are, which are the internal factors which is contributing, there are certain external factors like quota system, like how do you present yourself, like parenting aspects and things like that, which are also contributing towards this imposter syndrome. Coined in 1978 by Pauline Clance and Dr. Susanna Amis as imposter syndrome. There are quite an amount of information which is available. Why don't you share your thoughts initially about imposter syndrome? What do you think is imposter syndrome? And have you ever experienced it in your life?
Sure,
Lindsey?
anyone can go ahead and jump in. Yeah, I have certainly. I think this affects everyone. And if it doesn't, I kind of stretch to feel like maybe you are, not being completely honest with the people and yourself, because I feel like we all get into scenarios where we feel like we could be better, and it happens from, like I mentioned before, comparison, from feeling like you should know everything, right from the get-go. And I feel like, especially people that are curious and driven to follow their passions, they find themselves in these scenarios quite a bit. Yeah, so definitely I've been there. My first, my earliest experiences with this too were, becoming a branch manager for a building material supply chain. And I was the only female branch manager in the whole West region. There were a few in the company, but out of maybe 600, 700 locations, I was a very small minority of women. And it was difficult to get into that position to begin with. So just actually taking the steps to fight for, a promotion and to fight for, upward mobility in my career, I had to kind of put these fears at bay, because otherwise I wouldn't have had the opportunity. I'm sure you can all relate.
Absolutely. I mean, sharing my first experiences with this would be back like 7 or 8 years ago when I moved to Germany from India, and I just started my master's, which was already a bit intense for me, and then I started, interning in a company that I'm, and then because of the whole change from where, between my background and my culture, it was very intense for me to kind of adapt and adjust. And I would always question myself, and I would be like, do I even deserve to be here? And am I just lucky? And, how do I prove myself? And, it's just been like a week or two, and I was just being too hard on myself. And I was like, why is everyone else around me so good? And how do I get there? And so I really, yeah, I have had similar feelings, and it's something that doesn't go away really, right? So it keeps coming and going, and of course I'm trying my best to navigate through this.
Yeah, very true. Just like Aamna was saying, I also am from India, and when I came here to do my master's in the US, I felt like, oh, do I really? How do I? I felt a lot of pressure to blend in and like to do like to feel like, okay, I'm part of this group, it's also like a thing within me where I should kind of, I guess, after doing certain, maybe in a program or something like that, if it's an assignment or something like that, it's like, oh, I should reach this threshold. And, you know, that's when like I'm accepted as part of this group. And there's like a lot of that. And it's also quite recent. After I finished my master's, I started working, and that is another huddle. Like it was pretty intense overall. It was like each step of the way, there's like a threshold you mentally set to yourself, and then you try to achieve that, and then it comes back again. So it's like a constant, I guess, loop going over and over.
I can relate with all of your stories. And for me, I think I started to realize this syndrome and how it affects me when people were asking me, Maria, how did you achieve that? And my response was always, I was just lucky, I think. I don't know, but I will never share how much I have worked for this and how many nights I will spend so many hours in working and make sure that I'm perfect and I will never miss an assignment and I will always be the first one to volunteer and to do things. And on the outside, when I was this is a pattern with me. On the outside, when I was achieving something like an internship at Google or getting my PhD or starting my startup and getting funding, everyone was like admiring me. But in the inside, I was always not feeling that I deserved to be there. And I was like, okay, I'm lucky enough. And this was holding me back. I wouldn't, when I was doing my PhD, everyone was criticizing and telling their opinions and everything. And I was the girl sitting in the back and be afraid to share her opinion because I didn't think that my opinion actually matters or valued. And it took me a lot of time to gain the confidence I needed to, and usually the confidence came from outside this group. And other people saying, Maria, this is good enough, this is important, don't hold your voice back. So yes, it might be tricky to recognize it. I think in the US, people are way more educated about the imposter syndrome. Maybe in other countries, we don't speak so much about it, and girls and women feel it, but no one recognizes it. So if you don't recognize it, it's super difficult to fight it.
From all of your thoughts, I'm able to understand like underestimating your competence towards your actual performance is the main reason for your own imposter syndrome. So there is a statistics which says like between 1991 to 2001, there are around 215 studies which has been released regarding this imposter syndrome. Between 2001 to 2011, it grew up to 400. But could you guess what is the number of studies that it has reached between 2011 to 2021? Any guesses? It's around 3,500 new studies have been released. So now we understand it's quite important and evident, like not only from the personality perspective, we need to invest a lot into ourselves where we prevent a lot of damage around the world that we roam around, like the organization, like the people that we interact with the interpersonal skill that we develop. If we are like kind of feeling or to have a sense of being diagnosed, it cannot be said as a diagnosed. It is not a mental health problem. Instead, it's a behavioral phenomena which we need to be aware of. So to have this awareness among women, it's evident like it is especially more with women than men. What do you think is the main step that needs to be inculcated as a woman? Like, how do you become aware of your imposter syndrome? Yes, please pour in your thoughts.
Yeah, I think the first thing to recognize is what Maria brought up too, is that you have to realize that that feeling of I am not worthy, or I'm just lucky. You know, I haven't, you know, I don't really know if I belong here. And I think others have brought this up as well. I think that is the first step to recognizing it and being aware. And I think once you are aware, of the issue, then that's the main first step, as you mentioned, Karthika. But I think looking back, and when you start feeling those emotions, do remember all of the hours and all of the hard work you've put in, because it is definitely a fact that when you're feeling those signs of imposter syndrome, you probably have put in more time than anyone else, that's trying to fight for either the role or the project or whatever the deliverable is that you're working on. Because you are feeling those imposter syndrome emotions, that it's probably likely that you actually have worked harder than anyone else. That's something to recognize first and foremost when you're becoming aware.
So before we get into our next participant, I would like to give a short intro about a survey, a live survey, which would be happening. I will post the link to the survey. You can just, participants, please vote online. We will have a quick review of what is happening during the session. So yeah, over to the next participant. Sorry for the interruption. Yeah, please.
I think for me, it's also, it's about acceptance. So I realized that in the beginning, when it was happening, I was kind of fighting it or denying it, like, no, or also kind of treating it as something that's not normal, right? So there's something wrong, or I need to fix it. And slowly, what I started doing was, when I got comfortable with some people at university and also at work, I started talking to them about it, and I was like, hey, I feel like this. Do you also feel same way? And it was really interesting, and like a discovery that almost everyone was like, yes, I feel the same, irrespective of how long they've been there. It could be someone who's just 1 month in, or someone who has been here for 10 years. And that already kind of, that acceptance and that sharing that, I'm struggling and you are as well, and we're in this together, kind of helped me move forward. And also, I think when I shared this, I think people started throwing data at me and being like, hey, you did this last week. Do you not remember? And you were great. Or hey, you helped me with this task, and you're great. So I think it kind of then reminds you that there are things that are going well, and kind of helps you shift.
Absolutely. For me, I think I started understanding that I have imposter syndrome more when I started looking and observing at the way I wrote messages versus how other people did. I would start off with, I might be wrong, or this is what I think I know, and like I would finish the message, but I would either prefix it or suffix it, or I would like add a separate message, or like if there's a thought that I want to add to a thread at work or something, I would put it in parentheses and be like, oh, this is I don't know if it's relevant. Yeah, those kinds of things were like cues to my mind, where I felt like, okay, I think you need to kind of slow down. And probably if you have an opinion or a view or something, just try voicing it out without anything. Just try. It doesn't have to be, you always have edit buttons and stuff like that. Just try and see. And so just felt like nothing wrong happened with the world. And nobody, kind of judged me or anything for it. Obviously, it's all in the head, right? But sometimes it feels like it's like everybody feels it too and all that, but nobody really does. It's just in your head. So that awareness, it's super important. Just like taking note of everything that's going on around you, and
I couldn't agree more. I did catch myself as well saying, I might be wrong, or I'm not sure if this is right, but maybe you can try this. And when in the insight, I knew that was the answer. I mean, I was super confident that I knew that my suggestion was of value, but I was writing in a way as well. So I couldn't agree more. And I would like to agree also with Aamna, and she gives me the opportunity to share a little tip I have. So some people have a support network, not all people have a support network, and I learned about this more when I started my own startup. So when you are leading a startup, you don't really have a boss to say, "Good, bravo, Maria, you did well, congrats on that." So what I started doing is celebrating my small wins and also keeping notes of them. And sometimes when I don't feel great and I need like a confidence boost, I will open up my little notebook and I will see how much we have achieved. And this empowers me and makes me more confident and helps me go forward. So no matter what you achieve, even if it's a small one, an exam or a little promotion, or you did something great at work and people appreciate it, write it down just for yourself, and remind yourself that you're actually really good.
So seriously, this actually gave me a lot of confidence. Like I have encountered a lot many breaks in my career. So I wasn't tracking down my brag document. Like I don't take a note of what I achieved. Then after some point in time, I was like feeling, oh, I am not good at certain things. Why am I juggling between lot many career transition? And why is this all happening? Then I took a note of all of my achievements and made a document out of it. Then I was able to understand, like I was able to embrace myself to have what I have really done. That made me or gave me the confidence to move forward. This is not only with our career achievement, it is also like even in one interview where Serena Williams, the famous player, tennis player, who has projected in her interview, like in her home, like their parents used to treat her like there are two Venus Williams in our family. So it made her to feel crazy, which means like it was like tough for her to prove or to become a person of what she is. So she is always compared with somebody who's elder than her. Whenever they go to a restaurant, her elder ones is given the preference to order, and then she was made to provide the order. So there was like kind of a conflict in her to move forward. Like, how am I going to show that what I am, a true individual? This is definitely not like a way of proving yourself or becoming perfect. Instead, you want your own originality to be projected. How do you see this thought? And sharing your thoughts about being original and the imposter syndrome characteristics or personas that they have developed over years.
I think I'd like to jump in here too. The issue of comparison is really a huge root problem of the imposter syndrome, right? And I feel like you, in order to focus on your individuality and what you bring to the table and your unique perspective, you have to put those blinders on as far as comparing yourself to others. We're all on our own journeys, our own timelines. We're not going to be at the exact same level as those around us all the time. So the only comparison you should be making is like Maria brought up again in your wins, you know, the small achievements that you've made for yourself, right? Just compare yourself to the person you were yesterday. And I can guarantee that doing that is going to give you those small wins and give you that confidence you need to keep going forward. And then also just realizing, like so many of you have also mentioned, that your ideas are unique and your perspectives are unique. And even though you have that second guessing yourself all the time, it is still valid and valuable to other people to voice those opinions, even if you're second guessing it. And it's okay that people might not agree with you. I think maintaining the standpoint of my perspective, my opinions, my ideas are valuable, regardless if they are going to be widely accepted. That gives you so much power. And I think you've got to lean into that.
Very true, very true. And
If I can share, I mean, Lindsey, what you said was just amazing, and I had a little thought, and I would like to share it. So it's important, since we're only a few women in this field, to also support each other. So help your friends and your colleagues to also celebrate their own wins. And we are here to support each other, right? So if a friend of yours it's a bit scared, or she's not voicing her voice as she can, do support her and do remind her the little great wins that she achieves every day. I think it's super important, and particularly because we are a minority in the tech field, that we share and support and celebrate each other.
That's a great point, Maria. I've seen like absolute rock stars. They would literally beat themselves down so much. It would be like watching myself. I think of myself as a rock star, even if I don't say it out loud many times. Just watching these amazing people beat themselves down is like, it's brutal. So like every time when somebody's like that, it's really important to kind of, even if they don't consider you their support system, it's always nice to just like pitch in and say you were amazing, or you were really good. Or if they're second guessing themselves, just keep reminding them until they're at a point where they tell other people like, like you're amazing too, and they don't bring themselves down anymore. So yeah.
Absolutely, like agree to the thoughts on. Then just wanted to add another perspective to this, is that when someone is kind of celebrating you or just complimenting you on something that you did, even if you feel like, okay, it wasn't good enough, or kind of sometimes we brush it away very soon. It doesn't even sink in, and we're like, nah, it was easy, and it wasn't that big. And I read it in a book somewhere. I think the book was called Hardwiring Happiness, where it talks about how you should kind of like, it's very similar to writing it down, because when you write it down, it kind of sinks in, and you will spend more time. So I have started practicing, and this has helped, where if someone appreciates something I did or kind of compliments me, I spend at least 10 to 15 seconds running it in my head and being like, hey, okay, I did this well. And it just makes hardwires my brain, and kind of helps it, kind of believe in what was shared with me. So I also wanted to share this. So when someone is celebrating you or appreciating you, accept it and, believe them.
True, absolutely true. So meanwhile, I will just quickly show the results of what the participants have shown their awareness to imposter syndrome. Let me grab the screen. So here is a result. Currently, we have 11 participants who have accepted that they are aware of this behavioral, it couldn't be told as disorder, as difference in behavior awareness. So all the participants, none of the participants have told like they are not aware of imposter syndrome currently, which is a very good thing. Like you are at least aware of what is going around you. Nevertheless, like what kind of person you are to take care of, or how do you mitigate it in a long run if you're not aware of, or if you're not being into this imposter syndrome at any point in life. Okay, so I'll just stop sharing, and then we'll just quickly run into the next piece of our discussion. Like there is a framework or a competence type of imposter syndrome, which was described by Dr. Welling Young. She says in that, like, you behave like a superwoman sometime, like how many that I have to do, how many roles that I have to do. Generally, women go through this. You have this like number of roles to be juggling. You tend to become a super person, you're superhuman. What will you do in that instant? As a woman, I would like to know about how do you tackle, or how do you go around when you feel like you are a superhuman, superwoman especially.
Well, I think, celebrating that is the first step, right? And recognizing that we do tend to wear a lot more hats, in in our lives in general. I think that's a good recognition, but to kind of prepare yourself and feel actually own that amazingness and those achievements and those different roles that you take on, especially in your professional career. I think the first step is to embrace the fact that you should not fear mistakes, that they are to be celebrated and they are to be as a sign of boldness and a sign of your willingness to grow and learn. And if you're not feeling a bit of healthy fear around that on occasion, then maybe you're not pushing yourself hard enough. And so it is to be celebrated and not feared, because everyone is going to make mistakes, and it's not going to be something that people will frown upon if you are aware of the opportunities it provides you, the learning opportunities and the growth that it provides you. It can always be framed as a positive.
True. So embracing and who you are, understanding your strengths really matters to move forward. Like, how do you tackle the situation of becoming the best version of yourself? Embracing is the main or the important aspect of every woman who also needs some support system, like the environment, the place that you engage in is really required to embrace you, to show your strengths. Apart from that, yes, we need other factors as well. I would also say, like, fail fast, do not many mistakes, fail fast. Then you understand, like, what is the step next, a correct step that you're going to move forward. Yes, please pour in your thoughts.
Although, I mean, I don't wear a lot of different hats. Like, I have these trailblazers around me, like, people leading me who are moms and doing so many different things along with the great work they're doing professionally. I feel like, to me personally, talk more about it, even, at work. I feel like that it also, like, motivates me. So when my colleagues or friends talk about, oh, it was a tough day yesterday, putting my young one to sleep, and then you see them back in the office in the morning giving this awesome presentation, it just kind of makes you feel how great people around you are, and kind of motivates you. So I feel like there were times where I used to feel embarrassed or not comfortable sharing some unfortunate event that has happened, or sharing that something is really difficult outside of work or in my personal life, or I have to do a lot of balancing, but I feel like we should do it more and let people know that apart from this, there are so many other things and challenges that we as women face, and it just helps other women as well.
Very true. So it's important that you talk about your sufferings, that you talk about, like, what you're undergoing, the awareness that you have towards the syndrome that you're moving forward. So it's not only like we study a lot about our suffering, we also share, we also try to impersonate ourselves, to put in our thoughts, or also to put in ourselves into somebody else's shoes and think what they are undergoing. That makes us to create a much more better support system. It is not evident. Most of them will not show that evidently. A lot of successful people, like industrialists, filmmakers, actors, a lot of people have that. We wouldn't see that on screen. We cannot even see that. We cannot even have a clue like they are undergoing it. Of course, you are all right. So yes, focus on, how do we focus on our strength? There are a lot of distractions now. There are a lot of things, hindrance, like the gender gap, the parity that we see in the pay that is offered to women especially, and a lot of other things are also there, like the societal imbalance, the demography where you are present. How does your environment treat you? How well are you welcomed when you are a leader, as a women leader? So a lot of things. Even if you are a women leader, how good are you able to proceed in your leadership position? Are you able to sustain? That matters. It matters a lot. And this is one community where we have the trans inclusivity, which means like we have the minority also to be included. It's a welcoming thing, right? Why don't you show in your support and give us more ideas, like how can we grow better? And maybe I could say, like, what do you think would be the major reason, like women proportion is getting into this imposter syndrome, experiencing stress, anxiety? Is it because of the workplace inequality or the gender pay gap or the societal difficulty that they face becoming a superhuman kind of thing? Or what do you think? What are the different
I think,
things
oh,
to
sorry.
contribute? Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Lindsey.
If I'm understanding the question correctly, I think we're looking at the different factors that kind of contribute into this. And in the tech industry specifically, and not just, among, minorities and other industries, but in the tech industry specifically, there is a daunting amount of continuous resources that we are exposed to at an insane pace that any normal human could probably not keep up with, and there's this expectation that we should know all these things to be an expert at our field. Or not even to be an expert, to be a viable participant, a contributor in the field. And I think that's one of the things that contributes to all of our imposter syndrome, is that we have to step back and say, there are only so many hours in the day. There are only so many skills that I can master. And I have my unique strengths here. And while we all tend to kind of want to focus on our weaknesses to improve them, we have to remind ourselves, yes, that's okay to do. We can, keep a little list of the things we'd like to learn and improve, but we really should focus more on the things that we do well and put our energy and our efforts there. Because if you're pursuing your passions and the skill sets that you already kind of have honed, you can really master, a specific niche. And I think that if you can kind of focus on that, that helps a lot. But I don't know if you all agree. I think that just the amount of resources we're expected to understand and know, and tools and resources that are out there, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Oh, was anybody gonna say anything?
Yes, please go ahead, Chethana.
Yeah, just gonna say that there's so much out there, and it's very, very difficult to be like, oh, this is the specific thing that I want to do for want to learn for what I'm doing. The thing is, many times I've gotten distracted by I would look up something else online, and then another thing would pop up, and I'd be like, wait, I have to learn this too. And then I would add that to my list as well. But then I would it's very difficult to keep aligning with our goals now and then, because there's just really a lot out there, and you would literally be learning a framework, and then there would be something better than that maybe a couple of months later, and you'd be like, okay, wait, but I just did this right now, why? And so just with all of those resources, and there's always the thing of, suppose you're starting off maybe at a specific field, just maybe you started off a year ago, somebody's already been there 10 years, right? And for them to be able to catch up to the things happening there, it would be more fluent and more easier for them. And for you to be like, okay, I have to catch up with the previous versions of this framework or whatever, and I have to literally be on par with them. It's not realistic, and it is a very instant formula to burnout. And you would literally lose confidence. You would feel like, your entire work is of no use. And so it's a very dangerous cycle that is eventually going to lead to burnout if you keep pushing yourself. So like another small quick thing, if I can share, at work, when I started, when there was a problem to solve, I would, I wouldn't be able to solve it obviously like immediately. I would take like a lot of time, and I would maybe keep going till like from the morning until like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or something. It's way past your brain's capacity to like, be focused on the same thing and be productive, basically. My like one of my like mentors to tell me, hey, I think it's time for you to go and take a break. Just shut it down, go and like come back tomorrow, it'll get better. I would never listen at the start. I would be like, no, if I lose these 2 or 3 hours, then like I have to catch up a lot tomorrow. But then just listening to people around you who've also, had a lot of imposter syndrome situations that like they had to overcome, and like how it ties in with their mental health, and how you can just not lose passion for software engineering, basically. So it's like everything ties in together, and you just should listen to everybody around you.
Obviously, this is pretty much true, because you tend to become perfect in doing things and you set a benchmark for yourself. When you are not crossing that level or threshold level that you set earlier, it will go to affect you back, and you get affected by yourself as well. Yes, Aamna, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to also add on to this, and I don't know, I really haven't really spent time thinking about why this happens. Maybe it's like our motherly instinct, but a lot of times we want to do everything by ourselves, and I have gotten a lot of feedback as well because of the, this behavior of mine, because I realized that it doesn't scale well if you just take and do everything by yourself. You will burn out. You might not be able to do it in the best way possible because it's too much, and you're not kind of sustaining it, so you might not be there, and you might, and then you are not even enabling people around you, so it's not scaling. So I feel like that is also something that I think we as women tend to do, which is why maybe we have this tendency of feeling like an imposter, or feeling like we're not good at it, good at things, because we just promise, and the thing is we deliver, but then it's just too much at the end of the day.
True. We tend to be not like a soloist. We cannot play all alone. We have to ask for help. Even if we have a tendency like not to ask for help immediately, like we have a tendency of thinking in our like brains going on, what do they think if I go and ask them? So are they going to judge me? It's a tendency that everyone will have at some point in time. You will have to overcome that. You need to ask for help when it is required. I completely agree with that. Yes, please, Maria.
This comes back to us sometimes not feeling that we fit in a group, or guys or men in our workplace or in university, they may do their groups, their study groups, and we are left aside. But fortunately, the world has changed. We have Women Who Code. There are also too many other organizations helping girls excel in their career. So even if it's not within your workplace, maybe you don't have support and you cannot ask help from within your workplace. Maybe you can start from an online group, find support, and then as you get more and more confident, then you will be able to bring a new person into the workplace, and also collaborate better with your teammates, no matter their gender. So for anyone who feels it, I mean, we have all been through this. I remember myself like studying alone at the university because there were no girls. The guys didn't appreciate my value. They thought that I was there like for decoration. So as you get older and as you achieve little wins, you build confidence, and then they come back to you, and then they ask you to work together. So it does take time, but it's up to you to work on it, share, get support, ask for help. That's super important. Delegate as well if it's in your role, and be a better person every day. Again, we are not all top stars. We don't want to be top experts. I mean, you don't need to be. I mean, unless you really want to, but it's good enough if you're better than what you have been yesterday. And slowly, slowly, you will grow and you will shine and you will share all your expertise with the world.
Much true. The vertical and horizontal depth as a generalist or as an expert in a field obviously matters by the way that the environment grooms you and the support that you get in. So meanwhile, I would like to present the results of quiz. So just let me know if you're able to see the quiz results. It's not quiz, sorry, it's a survey that has been conducted with the participant currently. I've just queried what would be your immediate action step understanding about your imposter syndrome. Participants, most of them have voted for engage in mind cluttering activities like walking, exercising, etc. They wanted to take some time for themselves and then clutter their mind, become mindful. That's a wonderful thing. The second most important aspect that they wanted is to discuss this with a friend. A friend in need is a friend indeed. And the third is embracing your success and divert to catalyze your growth. So you need to embrace your success. And these are the forums where we do that. The last one is asking for professional support. Okay, that's wonderful. So the last part of our discussion is going to concentrate on becoming you as a, thinking you as a natural genius. Few of us have the tendency of, yes, I can do it within this time frame. I will be able to do it. I don't have to spend some time. I don't need any preparation. But there is generally a balance between the way that you project, what is the result that you get, and how are you prepared for a session. Say, for example, if I'm going to speak in this session, if I say like, yo, this is a generic topic, I don't have to prepare myself, will that going to work out? I'm not going to be a genius there. I'm going to make myself as a fool. I need to have certain level of preparation for that. So what is a balance that you have in your day-to-day routine, in your workplace, to avoid this kind of thought of becoming a natural genius, even if you're an expert in that field?
This is a really good question. I feel like so many, like I mentioned before, so many of us that do experience imposter syndrome are the types of individuals that will literally just try to take on anything because they feel like they owe it to themselves. They feel like it's required of them to make a mark and to stand out in that minority type setting of an environment. And so we kind of can get ourselves into issues sometimes where we are going to experience that burnout because we've just overcommitted ourselves. And we are going to reinforce that, imposter syndrome because we put ourselves into these situations, right? Where we definitely don't feel like, we have the skills, but we are not that genius expert, right? Because we're trying to get there. I feel like some good tactics that I've tried to employ, and I've still struggled with this. Like, this is a constant thing that I have to work at as well. But just realizing the hours in the day, right? Scheduling is so important. Really sit and lay out the projects at hand and be completely honest with yourself. The amount of hours and time it's going to take to educate, hours and time it's going to take to get that feedback and to implement, and really map out not only your day but your week and your month, and just use some logic in how much time it's going to take you to accomplish this before you fully commit yourself, right? Or before communicate, right? Figure out what the time frame is looking like that's available to you. Communication is so huge there as well. And don't be afraid to say no and put up boundaries. There are very tactful ways to do that. And you don't have to, completely fence up all opportunities that come your way because you're afraid that you can't meet the mark, or you don't have the time to fix it. But I feel like there are tactful ways to find your champions within your workplace, and to communicate clearly with the stakeholders, what the expectations are on your end, what their expectations are, and if there is adequate time for that. That's just something I employ.
I mean, just to add on to this, like, because it's really difficult to calibrate this, right? Or kind of measure, okay, am I doing too much or am I doing too less? And I think one thing that I've started doing is, because I was also this person would say yes to a lot of things and I would love doing it, but then at the end of the week, I would be like, oh my God, this was stressful. And the more you keep doing it, you will not be enjoying it. And it would just then become this whole ordeal. And why would you want to get into that situation? And I kind of try to identify what are my personal priorities, the things that make me happy. And, you know, a lot of people here today did mention that they like to take a walk, for example, to declutter. And if you're seeing that, you know, in the last 1 week, you got no time to get that walk or to get that meditation in, or to meet that friend, you haven't met that friend for the last couple of months, maybe sit back and kind of look at your planner and be like, I think I'm doing too much. I'm not getting time for myself and the things that I enjoy doing, especially outside of work. And that really helps. So for me, it's like doing some kind of physical activity. If I see that I've not done it for 1 whole week, there's something really up, and I should fix it before it gets worse.
If I may add, it's certainly tricky having this balance between how many things to do. I was also one of a person who said yes to everything, not because I wanted to like grab the opportunity to show myself, but I couldn't say no. I mean, I love doing things for other people and participating in activities and getting involved in initiatives. So at some point, I realized that I was getting really, really tired. And I think there are 2 key aspects. First, as Aamna said, prioritize what's really important and what's not so important for you. And remind to take care of yourself as well. So it's super important to have time for you to rest, to reflect. Sometimes doing 3 things rather than 10, but doing them better and giving like the 100% of yourself could be more important, and the end result could be 10 times better than just spreading yourself throughout too many activities and not actually being there. But it's tricky. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I still battle between too many things and try to find the balance in my life, and also having time for myself. Maybe what I do is that I block some days out. For example, Sunday, it used to be my nothing day. Okay, I'm here today, I couldn't say no, but typically Sunday it's my like, no, don't do anything, just do recreational activities, have time for yourself, plan the week and everything. And maybe I mean, for everyone else it's different, but in my case, September and October are usually the busiest months because we have a lot of tech conferences and seminars, and everything at work is getting more busy because we return back from holidays. So I know that we'll be overstressed in September and October, but then in November, I try not to book too many things, so I'll have time for myself to find my balance again.
Those are some like really, really effective ways to kind of know, oh, hey, like you're stretching yourself too thin and you're not gonna like end up liking this thing at the end, whatever you're doing. And so like just a quick thing that I wanted to add, when I find that like I'm not doing like if I have 10 things that I somehow just accumulated or just picked up, I didn't say no, which is also a thing with me. I don't say no easily with these things. I kind of find myself not doing some of them to the best of what I wanted to do. Like if I want to like really nail the thing, I would be like below it, like slightly below it or just below it, or I would sacrifice my non-negotiable, maybe like a walk or something that I do every day, and I would sit and use that hour to kind of, you know, work through this. And so I like listing down the things that I signed up for. I think like even during grad school that really helped, just writing down okay, these are things, and then being true to yourself and saying, hey, you just don't have time for this. It's like you're not being rude if you say like, hey, maybe I don't think I'll be able to do the best with the bandwidth I currently have. Like just taking that step back and being like, okay, yeah, just recalibrating, I guess.
If I may share, I had an event happen. I mean, I had something occur like last week, which is super relevant. So they asked me to be a judge for a hackathon that will be on cancer and machine learning. So they told me, Maria, we would like you to be the guest judge, would you like to come? And I was like, I would love to. But, you know, I don't think I'm the best person to be in that position. I know great researchers that are doing a lot of work on using AI for cancer research. So would you like me to introduce you one? So sometimes you can pass the opportunity to another person. And in this way, firstly, you grow as a person, because what's more growing than passing an opportunity that was supposed to be for yourself to another woman? And secondly, they also appreciate it, right? So the organizers really appreciate it. I said, yeah, well, I would love to, and another time. I mean, I leave the door open, of course, I will be there for you, but maybe you can have another person joining in this time.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think we had quite an amount of discussion, and we also had enough information about how to deal with imposter syndrome and what are the steps that we could embrace ourselves. So there are a lot of questions lined up from our audience. Quickly, let me grab each one of them. The first question is from Ella Sahnan. Does it ever go away, this feeling, like when you have the recognition as an expert from others, or at least no longer a newbie? Like, so would
No.
Okay.
Not from my perspective. I think I'm seeing everyone shake their heads as well. It is something that you have to work on daily. It's never going to go away, especially, and it's a good sign, like I mentioned before. If you're having these emotions, it means that you are pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, and that is to be celebrated, and that is a good thing. So it's a constant work. Employ these methods that all these wonderful smart women here have mentioned. Use your mindfulness, use your time management, factor in self-care, and then just go back and look at your wins. Manage this. That's why we talk about managing your imposter syndrome, because it's always going to be with you if you are in fact pushing yourself.
I agree. I completely agree. So is there any other thought that you would add? You would like to add?
Yeah, I mean, we all said no, and I think it's not bad unless it holds you back. So at some point, as you mature and you gain confidence with yourself, I mean, you may have these feelings, but it's okay. I mean, it doesn't matter. You still go forward and you still share your views. So as long as it doesn't hurt you and doesn't make you feel this certain way, it's okay. I mean, it's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to be not to be the expert. It's okay.
Okay. There is a question from Tracy Chen. Is it okay to share my struggles at work and in private life due to invisible health issues to my coworkers or boss? He or she had a bad experience when I was trying to be transparent. It was in an environment when I was the only woman in the tech. So she was the only woman in the tech, and she had this bad experience, it seems. So now she is afraid of starting the next job where she thinks the same thing would happen. So she's asking, is it okay to share?
Maybe I could add some views on this, because I've personally experienced this. And of course, it really is different in where you are, right? So firstly, I would really ask everyone who has that, power or is leading teams to make sure they make a safe space for their colleagues and people that are in their team, make them comfortable to share. Fortunately, it was easy for me to share whenever I was going through some health issues, or if there was like a personal challenge that I was going through. I felt like it made me perform better if I was transparent about it. I just telling your manager once, hey, I'm having a difficult month, or I'm going through something outside of work, and I just wanted to let you know that I will be giving in my 100%, but if you see that it's not translating the way it has been in the past, I want to let you know that it's not that everything is right at the moment, and I will bounce back. And can you also share some tools or mechanisms of dealing with it? I think it's great to be it's transparent, and it is not easy, and it's not always possible. It might not be welcomed. It might not be it might be treated as a weakness, but I would still say that, try and be vulnerable. Maybe it will be difficult, but it would also give courage to others to do the same. We also try to, or at least I try to kind of have these kind of table talks where we're not kind of complaining, but just kind of discussing the difficult challenges that we're facing. And I remember I was in one of these rooms where this person really felt comfortable sharing how difficult it has been for her in her personal health journey, and she was just sharing that made her feel really happy and motivated to go on. So yeah, I would say do it.
Just like one quick thing to add to it, it's being transparent with your manager. It's like absolutely super important. And I would say, like, if you feel like you're not there yet, or if you're starting a new job, it might be slightly like maintaining the trust, or like getting the trust to share things might take some time. So definitely leverage like your support systems, Women Who Code. Like it's been there like for such a long time, and like there's so many beautiful connections that I personally made from it. And so just leverage these places, maybe like try and have like a chat with somebody you really trust and talk about this if they've been in the industry for a long time. If it's like a really personal thing impacting like your work, then like definitely being open to your manager is like priority.
I would also like to add a small point here. Yes, as being transparency is quite important, and trustworthiness also comes into picture. It all obviously depends on your manager. If you're going to be like a kind of micromanagement person, then it is up to you as a person, like how would you be able to handle the consequences in turn. And also there are certain fixed mindset stereotypic way of working style where it differs from each person to person, as well as with each demographic or the geography where you work in. When you really show or try to project yourself as a good or a dedicated person in work, it might obviously hit you back when you're working with most senior person, where they will have their own kind of level of ego and level of experience, where they would see you as a, why is she projecting so much, and things like that. So there are a lot of things that we need to take care. I completely agree to all of your points. Trustworthiness, transparency, as well as the way that you can manage yourself in the particular environment also matters. So it is with your own personality trait that if you could manage yourself, being open about your health issues or being visible to the people whom you're interacting with, it's up to you. So let me quickly jump on to the next question. So it's from Lacey Morgan. She asks, do you practice receiving feedback? Do you have strategies for best processing it? It's an important question, actually.
Yeah, it's a good thought-provoking one as well. It's making me think, do I have mechanisms and actual, practices of this? And I would like to say yes, but I think it's a very informal thing that I could probably work on myself. I think that I kind of bake that into everything I do. And it comes with, I think, just having an imposter syndrome, needing feedback sometimes to know that you're on the right track. As long as it's not a second guess and it's not holding you back, like we've mentioned before, I feel like it is okay to ask for feedback. And in fact, like if you are approaching it from the standpoint of not, I'm inadequate, but you're just approaching it from the standpoint of learning opportunities, I think it's good to just constantly ask for feedback, and not in a validation type of way, just something I commonly say is, does that make sense? Just inserting little phrases like that into your communications, I find is really valuable, because it provides a window for someone to give you feedback. Simple things like that. I don't know what other methods there are. I'd love to hear others.
Just like a small, sorry, I wasn't sure if anybody else was. Okay. Yeah. So just like Lindsey was saying, there's like a very, very important difference between like using that feedback for validation, just being like, oh, hey, I'm just letting you know I'm constantly like improving, or like, you know, I'm taking the measures, and, you know, just being that way, or being like actually taking that feedback into mind and being like, okay, I'm here, and these are the next steps to make myself a better person at this particular field or whatever task or whatever. So just that small thing of, you know, imposter syndrome definitely comes into play with the validation. It's very tricky, like, and it's like very sneaky as well. So yeah.
I think the one other thing that really helps me is being very specific with getting feedback. So, you know, like, how can I be better with my presentation, or how can I make this slide better? Or do you have some, other than just being like, how am I doing? You know, it's very generic, and it's again the whole validation part comes into the picture. But I guess if you want to really have actionable, points from that feedback, be very specific about what you need your the feedback on. Is it your speaking? Is it the code you've written, or, you know, be it whatever. But yeah, I think being specific with feedback also really helps.
Yes, I think the SMART framework comes into picture here, like specific, measurable, actionable. And you need to show the results as well. That really matters when you are provided a feedback, and you should show them in the results. Yes, Maria?
Sometimes I'm not sure if I understand the question as Lacey shared it, but sometimes feedback can be a bit harsh. So if it makes you feel in a certain way, what I will do is like, don't. I mean, if it's in Slack, for example, or in a textual form, don't reply straight ahead. But take some time and remove the emotion out of it and look if there are any actionable or constructive feedback points. If there are, and you think they're useful, what I do is that I take note of them, and I take a lot of notes, but I try to use them the next time I do the same thing. Like if I'm doing a presentation, I will look back to my notes and see how we can improve things. Sometimes the feedback cannot be, sometimes it's harsh and it's not valuable as well. So in these cases, you may just throw it in the bin. You may say, okay, thank you for the feedback, and be polite. You don't need to argue or whatever, but you don't need to accept everything. And it depends where you are in life, and this can go in too many ways, but sometimes the person who gives the feedback is also important. So value who gives you the feedback. If the person who gives the feedback is actually an expert in the field, or someone that has walked your way and you want to or aspire to be like him or her, then it's quite different. If someone is giving a judgmental feedback with no much sense, and it doesn't understand the way that you want to do things, maybe explain better what you want to do. People not always understand the way that we want to go in life, or our views, or the way we express ourselves. Yeah, that's from my side. Again, I don't quite understand the question, because it can go into too many fields and roles and whatever.
As we are running out of time, I would like to take the last question for today. It's from Lacey Morgan. Have you used any professional support to develop skills around this, to overcome imposter syndrome?
I think utilizing any support you have professionally is helpful. Like I mentioned before, all of us have, is that you need to find your network of champions. You need to find your support system within your professional career, even if it's not at work, right? Find other resources. However, work often does have a lot of unused resources for you, and it is a sign of ambition and a sign of proactiveness when you come to your superiors even to ask for training or to ask for specific areas you'd like to improve. It's never frowned upon. At least it shouldn't be in a good work environment. And I think it would be a very wise thing to do. Have I done that before? Yes, absolutely. Especially because I love, not only if I can get some training that my workplace will pay for, but if there's something that's highly relevant and you can draw the connection between how it will improve your position, your role, and your contributions to the company, I think it's always going to be received kindly if you're working for an open organization that promotes this type of environment.
Very true. Anybody would like to add thoughts on this?
Yeah, just to that point, I find that with certain like senior folks or something at work, I feel like I could use a lot of help from them, or like I could learn a lot from them, even if I had like 30 minutes with them or something. But then something stops me and I feel like, oh wait, they have like more important stuff to do or something like that. And like I kind of gate myself, but they didn't say anything to me. And so like I would encourage, if folks are going through it, to push through that and just be like, hey, can I grab like, I don't know, 30 minutes of your time every like bi-weekly or something? If you're caught in like a lot of meetings, I could use a lot of, like your perspective on some of the stuff that I'm going through. Just be like super open to them. I find that just being that way kind of exposes you to so much around, and it also helps you to communicate better. Like everybody's different, the way they work is different, and the way they respond to these things is different. So like even if they don't, if they say, hey, no, I may not be able to do it bi-weekly, just be like, okay, once a month, like once in 2 months, just keep pushing for yourself, keep advocating for yourself. It's very, very hard. Like most of the time you just be like, no, I don't deserve it, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah, and just to add like one point to this is also, if you're getting those 30 minutes, just prepare, and then they are really appreciated. So, just don't have these open-ended questions or like, can you help me? But yes, with what? Just have an agenda for those 30 minutes, and then they would can navigate that session with you better and kind of provide more, useful pointers for whatever you need help with.
So organizing your time and respecting others' time is also important, quite relevant in this fast-moving world. Okay, I think we had a pretty much good discussion, and I would like to conclude this session showing the results of the participants' takeaway. So let me invite everybody to share your thoughts. Okay. Quick review of what has happened today. Sorry, I think I just shared the wrong window. Okay, I was just trying to make a word cloud of today's takeaway. I'll just present the results of what participants have taken back with the discussion that we had. Well done, all of you. We made everybody to believe in each other, to focus on our things, to declutter, to be patient, to get relief of our worries, griefs, get validated, appreciated, and bring in the gratitude that you wanted to show. Reflect ourselves, become a champion, and we just have to do it. Feel supported, communicate with ourselves, and slow down when we have to. So these are all the bravery words, the brave words that have come out of our participants. So believing in yourself and getting along with the flow of wherever you are and whatever you do, pitches you to move forward and get successful, achieve whatever you wish for. And this is a takeaway that I wanted to present before you all. Thank you, participants. Thank you for your wonderful participation. I appreciate your patience in answering all the questions, as well as to take part in an active session like this. We will collaborate once more in one more engaging session, and love you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.